ZV-E10 review in 3, 2, 1.
Patiently waiting on my dreams to come true, hoping and praying one day that they do.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Zero Gravity Design Studio. Today we're going to be talking about this little ZV-E10, which is actually the magic of post-production because it's not here. It's filming me right now, and so just bear with me on this one. There are a lot of reviews like, is the ZV-E10 even relevant in 2024? Should you wait for the Mark II or blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna give you the answer from my perspective, which is shooting with this camera a lot for the past 4 months, I believe. And the answer is, it's complicated. It is a great camera for beginners, but it has a lot of shortcomings. And be aware that I didn't say vloggers, I said beginners, because I don't think this camera is for vloggers. I think the marketing there is absurdly something else, and I don't think it's really for that, but let's get into that right now. Actually, you know what? Let's get undone. Dun, dun, Gerald Undone. Dun, 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 he's crazy. So that's some Gerald Undone homage for you. So one of the biggest upsides of getting a camera like this is the capability to change the lenses. You can get the incredibly popular Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter, or the Tamron 17 to 70 millimeter, or you can get a Helios 44M like this, or the Suri anamorphic lenses, which I've been wanting to get for a long time now. Image quality you're getting out of this camera is really incredible. It downsamples from 6K to 4K, which is pretty good. You're getting the Sony colors, plus you're in the Sony ecosystem for colors and also the E-mount lens options. Autofocus is really good and reliable, and you're seeing, I'm gonna say something on that if you're on USB-C, which that's gonna come as a negative point, but you know, if you're on USB-C and you have like PC remote function on to monitor yourself, the autofocus eye tracking doesn't work, which I know it's a pain point because this is my 3rd time recording this video, because 2 times it happened, both of them. It took the mic, it did not focus on my face. It turns on super fast. The auto modes are really good. Manual modes are manual modes. You can do anything you want with it. It shoots really nice pictures, so don't write it off as not a photography camera, because I took all my pictures on my Instagram, which, you know, some of these are there too. You can follow me on there too. And I took actually photos of 2 corporate thingies with this. Nothing. It did amazing. No complaints at all. Now, low light and photo mode is a different story. It is a bit noisy, yes, but is it a problem? Not at all. You're doing street photography at night, not a problem at all. You can always play into the noise thing a little bit with the grain and stuff like that, but like the noise reduction in Lightroom is so good, I think it really is not a problem. But if you're expecting like a super clean, real little noise, that's not what you're gonna get with this camera. Same thing applies also to the video side, which you're seeing right now. I don't know if I'm gonna put grain on this or not, but for this part right now, I'm gonna take off the grain, and this is what you're getting out of the camera with a 32,000 ISO. Right? No, I'm actually lying to you. This is 5,000 ISO. Noise levels of 5,000 ISO is acceptable, but if you're rating like something better, you might be disappointed. But again, it is enough for most cases. You do get noise, but it also has something to do with the S-Log profiles, which we're gonna come to that in a moment. Controls and layouts are super easy. You can map all those, all your functions, what you want, into the button layouts, which we're gonna take a look at next week actually, because I'm gonna be showing you how I set up my ZV-E10 for cinematic video and all this setup, like how I set up that for the cinematic talking head shots and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. I think this is a great camera if you're starting out. Like if you're doing street photography, street videography, you're starting to experiment with filmmaking and doing this and doing that. It is amazing for that. Auto mode is also like great if you don't know what you're doing, just want to shoot something. Auto mode is great. It does really good stuff. It gives good colors. It gives good IS. I mean, if you set the auto ISO right, you get good noise levels. Nothing to worry about on that neither. So without further ado, let's get to the nitty-gritty filmmaking centered stuff. Let's go. Color. Now you're getting S-Log2 and Log3 and HLG and those cine profiles with their, of course, with their respective color gamuts, which is the S-Gamut, S-Gamut3, S-Gamut3.cine, and BT2020, ITU709, and all that jazz. Now there's a problem with that. Bear with me there, because that like S-Gamut 3.cine, S-Gamut, they're fake. They're fake. It's like literally a joke. Sony, in its website, in the online manual for the ZV-E10, it says the camera cannot record in those S-Gamuts. Like that color space does not exist in the camera. So what you're seeing is it's recording to Rec 709 and then transforming that, like recreating the S-Gamut looks, which is a problem. Why is it a problem? Because that means you are getting a lot more color artifacting and color botching and those like, weird magenta kind of like purple like artifacting stuff. Which means if you're grading heavily, your footage breaks, and even if you're not grading heavily, your footage might break. Now, what you're seeing right now is a pretty harsh scene, I would say. I'm shooting with S-Log2 with ITU709, which I think is the right way to go because it can handle that better and you're still getting a good dynamic range, but it's not being lost in all the noise of S-Log3, but you're still getting a good dynamic range out of it. And the image you're seeing right now, I think it does have acceptable noise levels, which I still play into the grain thing, but it does have some color artifacting, yes. But the first 8 videos of my channel, if you look at them, those color grading, the Marseille stuff, the water and sky short film, and the poster designs, all of them were shot in S-Log3, S-Gamut 3.cine, and they turned out fine. I mean, there's some color artifacting, you can see there's a lot of noise, you can see, which I play into the whole thing with a little bit of grain too, but the thing is your footage breaks, and it's gonna happen. Like we cannot avoid that. That's also what comes with the 8-bit 420 things, but it is fine. It is like, this is a beginner camera and this is totally fine, and it is good enough to learn. And probably, I mean, you're getting into color grading and stuff, yes, but like we're not doing professional shooting with this. Like this camera is not for that. So even if your footage breaks, it is more fine than say your footage breaking in a professional shoot. Now I'm gonna do an extensive test on this. Like it's gonna come in the next 2 weeks, I guess. S-Log3 versus S-Log2 versus HLG and versus the cine profiles. Not gonna be super technical, just how I use it, how I use to grade them. But basic info on that is this. S-Log3 gives you the most dynamic range, but it is super noisy. So you're not getting a lot usable dynamic range out of that. S-Log2 paired with ITU709 is probably your best bet on the dynamic range stuff. You're still getting a bit noise, but less than S-Log3. Now HLG is a different story, because in HLG you're getting less dynamic range than S-Logs, but you're getting a lot less noise. That means your like usable dynamic range with less noise is more. But exposing for HLG is different than exposing for S-Log, and I know how to expose for HLG, but I just like exposing. I'm used to more to the exposing for S-Log, so I'm just doing that, and it's just a personal preference thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll all do some grading, and if you don't want to do grading, it's also fine. It's just a personal preference thing. Stabilization. So this is my biggest pet peeve with the camera. There is no IBIS, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, it would have been cool to get IBIS, yes, but it isn't the end of the world. What really gets on my nerves is the fact that the rolling shutter performance in this camera is an absolute fucking nightmare. I mean, you're getting jello all over it. And the thing is, this is a stabilized lens. This is the kit lens, the stabilized lens. And even with that, you're getting a lot. And since it has no IBIS, they compensate that with the active stabilization thing, which is fine. But the thing is, you're getting an extra 1.3 times crop, which means you have a 60mm lens, which is in full frame 24mm, which is a bit more harder to vlog with. Plus you have this 1.3 times crop, and you're shooting with like not 16mm, not 24mm, you're shooting like with 30mm. And this is supposed to be a vlogger camera, right? This also renders handheld usage completely useless. Like, you cannot shoot anything with it because it looks really jello-y, and you're like, oh, what the hell is happening there? Active stabilization is good, but you're still getting jello. And if your lens is not stabilized, like that Sigma 18 to 50mm, you're getting jello. If your lens is not stabilized, it's a manual lens like the Helios 44, you're getting jello. Plus it's an 58mm lens, so it's like 85mm APS-C equivalent. So you're getting already a lot of micro jitters, and the micro jitters are super bad with the rolling shutter. Even if not that, if you go to the Sony Catalyst browse thing and you can, you know, stabilize it there, yes, but you can only render one at a time, and after you render, you have to go to the other clip, you have to stabilize that and render that out. Now, there might be some people who are saying, you know, just get a gimbal, dude. Dude, this is a $500 camera. You're a beginner, you're probably not getting a gimbal with this. I mean, and even if you get a gimbal, mastering gimbal is a whole nother thing, which all I'm saying is, if this is marketed towards vloggers, it should have better jello. And even if it's not marketed towards vloggers, it should have better jello. Connection and other features. HDMI connection is a joke. If you have HDMI connected somehow, some way, you're not going to be using that screen. You cannot use that screen at all, which is kind of like crazy to me. If you have USB-C, like this PC remote function on, you lose eye tracking, which is what I told you about, because like I said, this is my third time shooting this video, and the other two times it has lost focus, and it was like vroom, 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 breathing all the time, and it has lost focus. So I'm like, dude, with my time with the camera, with what I saw with the camera, all this is telling me that this is a camera merely for beginners, maybe some hobby videographers, photographers. It's good for street photography, street videography, but it's not for vloggers. And it is really easy to grow out of the camera. If you want stabilization, better stabilization, and if you don't even want to change the lenses, go with the ZV-1 or ZV-1F. You're still getting similar performance, and you're getting the S-Logs if you want to, you know, experiment with that, and you can get them even for cheaper. So, like, with all that being said, I'm really happy I bought this camera. Like, I couldn't imagine getting anything else with the, like, in this price point too. Like, I was also like thinking, should I get the Fujifilm X-S10 or this one? And I bought this one because even though all that critique, it is still an incredible camera, incredibly capable with the value that you're getting out of this. It is amazing. Now at this point, there's also the other question of like, should you wait for the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II? Which is, I mean, it's a difficult question, right? It's complicated, but I would say don't wait for it. We have, I mean, as I'm shooting this, it's now 30th of May because it's past 12 a.m., but we don't have any information on that. And at that point, I would just say, just don't wait for it. If you want to get this right now, then get this. You can find this on eBay for about $500, which is crazy, with the kit lens included, by the way. And of course, the moment I've said that, my battery has died. So I think that's a good way to do the outro. Like I said, a lot of critique, but yes, I love this camera. I couldn't imagine getting the Fujifilm X-S10 or anything else. And no, don't wait. Just go out and shoot now. Thank you for making me a part of your day, night, dinner, weekend, whatever. Thank you for allowing me to join you, and thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. You know, I have my Patreon, my presets there, and if you want to support me, that's the best thing you can do. So thank you, and see you next time. Let's do some Gerald Undone. All right, I'm done.
Patiently waiting on my dreams to come true. Hoping and praying one day that they do.